And now to our first sort of physical guest in the studio, who is going to give his presentation from this address here in Helsinki. Jan Mickos, Senior Vice President, Managed Services, Nixu Corporation. Great to have you here.
Great to be here.
Hey, for a Nordic audience, a few words about Nixu, what Nixu does, and your role, what you do there, because you have been there now 1.5 years with Nixu.
Yes, indeed.
So your background.
Yeah. So Nixu is a purely cybersecurity company. First of all, we do cybersecurity services and nothing else. But then again, in that context, we do pretty much end-to-end everything that you can imagine being in.
Finnish company.
It's a Finnish-based company. We operate in the, let's say, Northern Europe marketplace, and one of the biggest players in that market.
Yeah, still Finnish owned, isn't it?
Well, we're listed on the stock exchange, so owners are wherever they are. But
yeah, and your role and your background, as I said, 1.5 years now with Nixu.
Yeah, I joined Nixu 1.5 years ago, and to take over the managed services business area, and so pretty much the security operations and everything that goes with that territory. And prior to that, I of course worked in the cybersecurity field for quite a while. So I spent the last 20 years with CGI, where I also managed the cybersecurity business in Finland. And so
big corporation.
Yes.
And this 1.5 years so far, all good, because you landed there in the middle of, more or less in the middle of the pandemic.
Yeah, it was of course a bit kind of strange to kind of join a new company and kind of walk the empty corridors of the offices. And but yeah, it picked up pretty well, and we have achieved great results together with the team there.
And hey, DNV.
Yes.
What's that for an abbreviation? Any you can offer from the DNV? What is the situation now, and
yes,
what does it mean for Nixu?
Indeed, DNV, the Norske Veritas, a big corporation again, but they focus on assurance aspects of businesses. So and again with a very broad umbrella, they have set out to create the leading European cybersecurity services entity, and to kind of kick that off, they have made a tender offer to acquire all outstanding stocks and options for Nixu share then. So.
All right. So let's see how it goes.
Yeah, I have great expectations personally. So.
Hey, good. Yeah, Mickos, your presentation will be on security fusion, not confusion.
Indeed.
It's a great title. It's all yours now.
Thank you. Yes, so hello everyone, and as said, I'm gonna describe a concept called security fusion, and as a result of that, then how to avoid the security confusion that very often might be present in our daily operations and in many aspects. To explain the concept, though, I'm going to go a bit into kind of the history of security operations and how it has evolved over time, so to better understand that what are the challenges that we then facing. And of course, we've heard a lot of good presentations already from many aspects, be it cloud security, posture management in multi-cloud environments, or artificial intelligence and so forth. And of course, all of these are very relevant and very much needed. But at the same time, I think we need to kind of step up the game a bit as an industry in general. And that's the security fusion. But as said, going in a bit to the history, so of course, let's say in the Nordic markets, the security operations kind of service business was created pretty much a bit more than a decade ago, and then it was all about detection and response. And of course, in many aspects, it still is today. But the kind of rationale behind the security operations at that time was that, of course, everyone had their protective measures in place. Everyone had their firewalls and antivirus solutions and intrusion detection systems and so forth. But then we saw that, well, that doesn't cut it. So we need, in addition to that, we need to be able to detect when something goes wrong, and then of course then in a timely manner and an efficient manner also respond to those aspects. It was very much focused on the IT landscape, infrastructure-centric services and operations, and of course needs to be 24/7 because the baddies don't sleep, so they work around the clock as well. So that's the good guys then as well. Of course, that's kind of a good start, but it doesn't kind of cover all of it. So the kind of next logical evolution was that, we need to understand more about the context where the security operations are run. What's the business that we're supporting? What are the kind of the situation in that landscape? What are the threats that the business is facing? So threat intelligence became much of a topic at this stage, and of course also continuously understanding the risk and the vulnerabilities in the business environment that we're operating in. So this is something that we call then the informed security operations, and at this stage also we kind of realized that, well, actually we need to monitor not only the infrastructure but also, for instance, the business processes and applications supporting those. So application SOCs and other similar concepts became a topic. Of course, today also this expands very much into, for instance, operational technology. So if you're a manufacturer or in the industrial realm, you will have automation systems and factory IT and such that typically don't fall under the IT environment umbrella when it comes to managing the security posture of that. So this was a significant step forward. Of course, in this type of environment, one of the biggest challenges is that unless you're as an kind of business born in the cloud, you will have a hybrid IT environment, and you will continue to have that for the foreseeable future. And you probably have not only one cloud ecosystem, you have several, and you have all sorts of IT services provided by different service providers in different domains. So you might, for instance, have workstation, your laptops provided by one service provider. You might have a data center service provider that runs your servers, and then you have maybe a third partner that manages your networks. And of course, they all, if you think about the kind of hardening the whole business environment, most of the kind of applicable controls actually reside within those services, but they are provided very much in siloed mode. So this becomes a bit of a problem because they are contracted separately. They have different SLAs. They are very kind of they're provided from a kind of availability and quality of service point of view, not that much from a security point of view, and this we need to change then. Having said that, now we're then calling what we state here at the future of the security operations, where we combine all these different aspects. So of course we need to be kind of well aware of where we are and what the threats are, and what the business context of it, and what are the technical assets actually supporting from a business point of view, to be able to be making kind of well justified judgment calls, for instance, in developing the detection capability and the responses associated. But at the same time, we also, of course, need to proactively harden the security posture of the business. So not only after the fact that something has went wrong, but also trying to avoid it becoming an incident in the first place, because of course the cheapest security incident is one that never happens. And to do this effectively, and also, of course, have the kind of after we have responded to something, the kind of the loop back to the protective side. So do the lessons learned and think about how can we avoid this type of incident in the future, and again do proactive protective measures to do that. In essence, this is what we call then the security fusion, and it's very much of a kind of a service concept, and as described on the previous slide, it needs to be a strategy that we apply across the business value chains and operating environment. It cannot be operated in silos. So if you think about what the kind of IT service outsourcing companies, for instance, have done for under the concept of IT SIAM, so service integration and management, this is very much the same thinking here, but doing that for the security posture of the whole business ecosystem, and so it's much of a strategic thing, less technology. Having said that, there's a lot of course, technical stuff involved. It's the kind of bread and butter of cybersecurity, but to really pump up the kind of value delivery in the cybersecurity domain, we need to take more holistic approach and more responsibility of the business resilience itself. With that, then going into so what is the security fusion in more practical terms? So as I said already, it's all about strategy. It's not technology. It's all about partnership. So it's about, for instance, making sure that we are able to work together, all the parties involved in the business or IT ecosystem, and work together to holistically provide better security for the end customer, the enterprise or organization in question. To achieve that, we also need to constantly kind of measure for efficiency and effectiveness of whatever we do, and demonstrate the value of the security fusion. And it kind of cross-organizational operations is very much at the heart of this, and as a result, then also different levels of integrations. When we talk about integration, it's very typical in the security world to kind of jump into orchestration and the kind of technical integration, and of course that needs to be there as well under the hood. But at the end of the day, it's much more about process integration, cross-organizational cooperation, having KPIs to kind of measure on the performance of the cybersecurity landscape and all the parties involved, and of course also we need to have the holistic capabilities available so that we have all the controls and stuff available that we need to run an efficient security fusion. And in the kind of hybrid IT world where we live, it means that there will be tens of different parties involved, and they all, of course, have their own contractual obligations and agreements and service level agreements and so forth. And to get this all kind of going smoothly, say we find a challenge in one service, it actually might be that it's the most feasible way of fixing is to actually adjust something in another service provided by another party altogether as a compensating control, and now we're kind of in the heart of security fusion thinking there. So taking charge of managing cybersecurity posture holistically across the whole business, regardless of who actually is providing the underlying services. I could spend quite some time describing this concept in more details, but as we're limited on time, we're gonna stop pretty much here. You can scan the QR code that you see on the screen and to get access to the white paper where we describe security fusion in more detail. And of course, if you have questions or this sounds interesting, please shout out, get in contact, and we are happy to help you with all aspects of cybersecurity and security fusion and securing your business resilience with the help of my 400 very capable cybersecurity professionals at Nixu. Thank you for your interest.